Public education advocates rallied at the Capitol today, hoping to put pressure on lawmakers. They want them to vote against universal voucher measures on the table at the legislature this year. Capitol reporter Augusta McDonald is live now with details. Augusta.
Bobby, today at the rally, I heard some pretty impassioned pushback to the Oklahoma Empowerment Act. That's legislation that seeks to make some pretty huge changes to the way education is funded in Oklahoma. In speeches today, one of the top concerns I heard was really about cuts to Oklahoma's already historically underfunded public schools that could happen if the bill passes in the form it's currently written in. Speaking out today, advocates against new efforts to fund private and homeschool in Oklahoma with the same pot of money that funds public schools.
What they're proposing is that we stick our hand in that cookie jar, take the money out, divert it from public schools to pay for private schools.
Wright says rural districts will feel the impact of lower levels of state aid money because lower income tax areas rely more heavily on that state aid money to fund their schools.
It is a rural school killer from a funding perspective because rural schools depend so much on every penny coming from that pot.
Superintendent of Public Instruction Joy Hoffmeister expressed concern about the bill as schools continue to recover from impacts of the pandemic.
We have fewer education dollars than most every state in the country at a time when our children need all hands on deck and every resource we can get. This is dangerous for our kids.
Labor Commissioner Leslie Osborne encouraged educators and parents in the crowd to talk to their legislators about increasing funding for public schools.
To visit with legislators, to resonate with them that the vast majority of rural counties have no options for a private school, that we must continue to do this, that we love what we do, that we need those resources, that we want to change the future of Oklahoma.
I reached out to Senator Pro Tem Greg Treat. He's the author of the Oklahoma Empowerment Act, and his communications staff told me he would be talking to press later this week about this measure.
Hey, Augusta, before you go, when will this measure appear again in committee? And can we expect to see it pass in the Senate?
Sure. So Senator Treat's bill is expected to be heard next in the Appropriations and Budget Committee. That could happen as soon as this week. I've been talking to advocates who tell me they aren't sure that this measure is going to pass in the Senate. There's a large group of Republicans that seem to not really want to see this law go into effect. Largely, those are Republican leaders of rural districts, which, like we saw in the story, there's some questions about the way that rural public school funding would be impacted by this bill. Back to you.